What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review Yurukill, the Calumniation games. Now, that word is the hardest word I've ever had to say in my life, so I'm only going to call this Yurukill, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. But I do want to thank the developers of the game for giving me a review code. This is very exciting. This was a game, to give you a real quick backstory. I saw this, I think, on like a Push Square article. Push Square is like a PlayStation primary website, and it was basically pitched as, hey, look at this weird Danganronpa style game. Saw that article, clicked it, watched a 1.5 minute trailer, and I was like, wow, it does. I mean, it is looking like Danganronpa. I love Danganronpa. Let me reach out to these people and see what we can do. And lo and behold, here we are. So they did give me the code. That's not going to obviously change anything of what I think of this game. This game is pretty darn solid. I struggle to say really good because there are some hangups, and when I seriously, like critically think about this game, I do find more and more errors. But I would say overall, this is an extremely solid game that in a way surprised me, because you may look at it, you may think, Alex, this is kind of lower budget. It is very weird. It's got a detective style. Half the game you're going through, right? You're reading a lot of dialogue. Okay, everything's in Japanese, so you're reading everything. You are kind of discovering what's going on. You're solving puzzles. And then the other half of the game is doing basically a trial, a Danganronpa-esque trial, where you're doing like a shoot-'em-up kind of thing, which is a very different gameplay style than the first half. What I will say is I do think that divide is kind of my divide in the game. The characters are extremely solid. I really like pretty much every single character. There is a lot of charisma and energy and just personality in general that comes out of these characters. And to be honest with you, that's kind of what I was hoping for, right? Because when you think of Danganronpa, you think of the big twists, and this is not Danganronpa. This isn't even from the makers of Danganronpa, but it's very clear that inspired a lot of the detective portion, the twists, because there are twists for every single chapter, let's say, of this game. So when you think of Danganronpa, you think of the trials, you think of the big twist, but you think of the personality of these characters. These characters, they don't emote all that much. You can't see, this isn't The Last of Us Part 2 with all the fancy, visuals. So you have to really just go based off of the writing. Is the writing good? You have to go based off of the voices. Now, again, I didn't play with English voices. So to me, it's really, okay, how much charisma do these actors have? I mean, they can only go so far because I don't know what they're saying. I just have to read the dialogue. But that is a major strength. I would say a strength of this game is the story. The story and the setup of what the Yurukill games are, which you will discover as the game goes on, is very good. The twists are very solid. The thing with the twists is this. It's a pro and con. The pro is they actually find a way in pretty much every chapter to do a twist that got me, where it's like, I know a twist is coming. That's the con. See, you also know that for Danganronpa, but for Danganronpa, I feel like they find very creative ways of inserting twists into the game at different points, different beats, right? Like a drum beat. Different beats of the trial will a twist be inserted, and they'll do it differently each time to kind of mess with you so you don't know when it's coming. For Yurukill, there's a twist pretty much every time, and you know exactly when it's going to happen, okay? And that is a big negative, because it's like, okay, I know there's going to be something, just give it to me. And I know it's going to be literally right here. And once you play the first 1 to 2 chapters, you know a big section of what the twist will entail. You won't know the entire thing, but you'll know a big part of, okay, I can give you a brief, like, spark notes on what the twist is going to be. So it's somewhat predictable, but at the same time, it is unpredictable enough where it did get me. So those are all, in my opinion, again, the story, the characters, some of the twists, I would say, are pretty good. The idea, the whole plot of what you're doing there with murderers and executioners, or I guess prisoners and executioners, very good. Really, this is a creative game at its core, and I appreciate that quite a bit. Then you go to the other side of things, which is the actual gameplay, right? Now, the gameplay, I really love the puzzles. There are some incredibly difficult puzzles that, luckily for me and luckily for people at home, they have hints. There's 3 hints for each puzzle. A lot of puzzles, I'll be honest, I didn't need hints, and I felt very good about my intellect, okay? I was like, wow, I can't believe I actually got that. There are some puzzles, as this game goes on, specifically towards the end, which we can't actually, it's in a rule, I can't talk about the ending of this game, game, but as the game goes on, the puzzles get very difficult, some of them. And some of them really threw me for a loop. I'm glad the hints were there. But even with some of the hints, it's like, oh, man, it's almost like trial by error. You just kind of try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, you just keep going. So, but I will say, puzzles, very creative. That is a big difference between a Danganronpa. Danganronpa really has nothing like that, which I really, really like. Then you get to the trial part, which is the shooting part. Now, this part was very hit or miss for me because I feel like it did take a lot of skill. I played this game on normal, and as the game, again, goes on, it gets harder and harder. And if you lose, the best way of doing it would be to retry the entire battle. So the battles themselves were not bad. I like the creativity. I like the different bosses, the final bosses that you would do in this combat. I think the combat was cool. It really doesn't like match up at all with again, the one half is you're just reading dialogue boxes, you're clicking on things right in the environment, you're putting together puzzles, you're putting together in your own head what happened here. And then you go through this gameplay and it's just so night and day. It's not even the same genre as and I guess you can argue like that's cool, and it is. In a way, it's cool. But it's also like, I don't know if you necessarily needed that. I do think the best parts of the game are not that. It's the other stuff. One big criticism, and this is going to be hard because I have to avoid spoilers. I can't talk about certain things, but I'm going to try to nail this point because I do think it's an important one, especially, if you're like, well, I'm kind of interested, but I just don't know. It seems very weird. Again, it is very weird. Here's one of my main issues that I discovered kind of going in blind. The game is about proving something that didn't happen. And if you know, based off of life, proving something didn't happen is pretty hard because, of course, at some point in your life, you could. If I said, well, you didn't have a cookie, that's pretty hard to prove because I'd have to prove every second that you live as a human being you didn't have the cookie. Whereas if you said I did have a cookie, it's the reverse, right? It's a lot easier because, of course, at some point in your life, maybe you did. The game is on that. Now, again, I can't talk about specifics because I don't want to give anything away, and I don't think I'm allowed to give anything away. But you'll notice, because there's questions, there's quizzes in this game, which I like. And again, that's very Danganronpa-like. There's quizzes that ask you basically to go over information. And by the way, you have to pay attention like pretty well. The game, introduces story, kind of beats to you as you're going through this detective thing. And then at the end of the chapter, it quizzes you in a couple different ways. It's more than one kind of quiz. And you have to, know what happened. Like, you better know. And it's not like some of them are trial by error, like you can mess up. Other ones, like, you really don't want to mess up. You want to get it, so you really got to know, the quiz questions. And again, you can retry if you die. You can restart from the beginning, get the questions right. But here's what I'll say. Maybe it's because of the jump in language. I really think that has a lot to do with it, considering this was written not in English, and it was kind of ported over in that way. I feel like some of the dialogue is maybe a little altered from its original state, what it's originally trying to get at, but there's a lot of double negatives in questions. So it'll did you not, no, right? Like two things that would kind of cancel out each other. Now, I, as an individual, I always get confused with double negatives. They've always been one of my weakest things. I actually love math. I was a pretty good at math growing up. I was actually going to be a math teacher, but double negatives always got me. And I feel like if they get me, they can get most people. That's my opinion. So the way the wording of the questions are, it's like you're trying to prove something didn't happen, but you don't really have the evidence to show that something didn't happen. And then that also goes into that, it really goes hand in hand with my main weaknesses. There's one part of the game which you pick evidence to show something, to prove something, whether something did or did not happen. Again, most times it did not happen. So you're using evidence that you found to prove something didn't happen. And it's pretty difficult because the game does not do a good job of telling you what the evidence actually shows. Like, it's an image on your screen. And you're like, okay, well, I can't read the small details, so is there a blog? Like, can I click on it and I can scroll down this entire text of it explaining? No, you can't. It's actually just an image, and you have to decide for yourself, well, does that image prove something didn't happen? And again, the reason I'm spending so long on this is this really upset me as the game went on. It's like I'm enjoying the story. The characters are awesome. The characters are easily the standout of the game, okay? If you want good characters, good development even, this game it's good, all right? So I'm enjoying the positives, and then I get to these things, and it's like, dang it. Like, I don't like answering these questions because they're double negatives. They're worded really either badly or weirdly, and I'm failing them. And if you fail them, you lose lives. It would result in you having to, like, restart the stage, which, I failed twice towards the end of the game. And I lost probably 40 or 45 minutes each time of progress because I had to restart from the beginning. I guess you don't have to restart from the beginning, but again, answering questions gives you lives. And then you can lose lives by getting things wrong later on or dying in the shooting section of the game. And if you don't start with that many lives, restarting the shooting part won't really matter. Does that make sense? Because you still don't have many lives. So you have to go all the way back to the beginning to get the quiz part right. So you lose a lot, especially as the game goes on. You can lose close to an hour, and I did. I lost close to 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 different times of 2 different chapters, and that really upset me. And again, from a game that, like, not that many people are going to play, that could be a deal breaker. It could. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it definitely could. So here's what I'll say. It's July. It's July 1st when this video goes up. The game comes out July 5th. It's not a full-price game. I believe it's $50. The game took me around 12 hours to beat. Not bad. 12 hours, $50. I think that's not a bad deal whatsoever, to be honest with you. And again, I died a couple. Well, again, though, I died, so it's like maybe it's 10 hours. Maybe it'd be 10 hours for some people. But I think 10 hours is still good. This is coming out in a time where really no other games are coming out. So my pitch to you is I actually really overall enjoyed it. I think the pros do very much outweigh the cons. It's just the cons are like still in my head. But I overall enjoyed this game. I think it's a discount Danganronpa game. But, and I compared it to Danganronpa a lot. It's fair and it's unfair. I mean, I do fully believe this game was kind of pitched as a Danganronpa, almost like a ripoff, but it does do different things that Danganronpa doesn't do. It does. And its idea for why you're there, why the game is taking place, is very clever. So, I want to compare it to it because it kind of is this. It is the same thing, but it's weaker in a lot of aspects. But to not discount this game, it really does do a lot of different things in different ways than Danganronpa does, which lets this game stand out. So if you're into these kind of things, I think this game is definitely good enough. If you've never played, this is I guess what I would say. If you've never played any of these games and you're like, well, is this like the best one that would make me like this genre? No, I think Danganronpa is the one that would actually make you like it. I think if you play Danganronpa, you'll be fine here, and you'll actually probably be more like into it. You'll be more like up to date on like what's going on in the game. You'll kind of be more used to it, and you'll probably feel like it's weaker, but at least it'll be okay. If you've never played Danganronpa, you might be a little lost. This may be a little too out there, so maybe play Danganronpa first. Again, and is it even fair to compare it when they're not the same publishers or developers? I don't know. That's up to you. But I did overall very much enjoy my time. I'm glad I played it. Like I said, I mean, I'm not making up that story. I saw it on a website. I watched a 1-minute trailer. I was like, cool. I don't know if I would buy this. Let me contact them. Let me see if I can get it from them, and I can talk about it for videos, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm very glad that I did it, and I'm very glad I got the game. Would I pay $50 for it? I feel like if I listened to this review, if I was a different person and I listened to this review and I said, I love the Danganronpa games. Alex, I really do love them. I think you should get this game. I do. If you love Danganronpa, I think you'll at least like this game. Some things you might like more, some things you'll probably hate. But that's, it's the same kind of genre. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you like this video, I can definitely do more videos in the future on this game. If you want me to talk about anything else, the game comes out again on the 5th. This is the 1st. I can talk about it the other days if you guys want me to, but, let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.